when you are coaching, like what are some things that you enjoy most about like watching your clients grow, I'll say?
I think it's realizing that people don't need to be stuck in the world that we were raised into, right? Okay, I was, from a different country, like Faisal, right? But I still came to the US 26 years ago, and we were taught a certain way to operate, a certain way to work and save and all these things, right? And it's so ingrained in our minds that this is the path we have to follow. And when you start opening up new opportunities or new ideas from people, they're like, oh man, maybe I don't have to wait until I'm 65 to quote unquote retire. Maybe I can actually change my path, different point in life. And once they start seeing that possibility, and that was what I started seeing, working with Faisal a handful, 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, wow, if I can start changing my path now, imagine where that can take me in 5, 10, 20 years versus just staying on a path that we know, that the W-2 path, right? So just seeing those opportunities and the excitement that creates in people once they get their vision of that future they can create, that's really where we start seeing this aha moments like, wow. And that creates a ton of excitement and then momentum, right? Of course, then the fear also starts showing up. It's like, oh, am I good enough? Can I really do this? Am I, all these challenges that come up, right? But then as coaches, we then have to help people, hey, you don't have to solve it in one day, right? What's the next step you can take? What is one positive, activity or action you can take towards your goals, and start seeing those small wins that then accumulate, right? And also another thing that we tend to see a lot is we see people that have achieved success, and we put them on this pedestal and we compare ourselves to them. I think we've all guilty of comparing ourselves to people that we admire or reach success, but too often there's never anybody to tell us that they also went through a long journey, that hero's journey to get to that point. Once we can start breaking that down and say, hey, are you willing to step down this path and take the time and put in the effort to get there? And I think once you have the vision, once you start seeing the next steps and you start taking steps, then people tend to, just move forward. And that's what I've seen with most clients, right? They find their path, they start moving forward, and everybody does it in a different pace, but you just have to help them discover that next step and move forward. So I think that's kind of what I've seen in my experience being a coach.
Faisal, what about you? What do you enjoy seeing, or maybe some trends? I mean, that was kind of nice for Jens to like give us some trends too, but like, what are some things that you enjoy most about being a coach?
I love that question. And thank you, Jens, for sharing all that. I really appreciate you sharing all that, because I mean, it's like the way Jens shared it, it sounds so simple, and it is as simple as that, but just that one progress point can make a huge shift in somebody's life and business. I think for me, like based on my story, it goes like how I came out of all this, like how I created the kind of life that I wanted to. And a lot of that was that I was struggling. Like I was deeply struggling. It wasn't because like I wasn't at the level of most multi-family investors where, hey, let's invest our money and let's create a life of abundance. That's not what I was thinking a lot of times. It was that, how can I get out of my own way? Why am I miserable? Why am I disconnected from myself, from my community, from my family members? Why am I not happy in my day-to-day life? And what the hell does success mean for me? And just dealing with those questions internally, I think it's a painful process when you become aware of those things. And not having the answers is even more painful. In the process, and as I've learned over time, as I've worked on this stuff, I realized that the answers are much more simpler than people think. And the answers are much more closer to who we are. It's inside of us. It's not external, most of it. And what I enjoy most with my clients is just watching them transform. And some of the best things that I've heard from my clients, I will go through about 3 months of coaching. Now, keep in mind, it takes a little bit of time for things to externally change in people's lives and business, but internally the shift happens like that. And then just literally, and these are the kind of things you hear, like when I would do my review sessions, for example, or check-in session, be like, so how do you feel? What's happened? How do you feel like you've shifted in your life? And be like, well, I feel like I'm not the same person. I feel like my purpose has completely expanded or changed or evolved. I feel like I'm more connected with myself. So I feel like I'm a completely different human being. I feel like I can connect better with my wife, husband, children. I feel at peace. Those to me mean much more, because that person showing up in their life with those values, with who they've become, not only is it much more likely that they're going to follow their heart and they go towards the success that they want. But also, they're going to show up better with other people. They're going to be much more accountable. They're going to create better teams. They're going to be much more credible. They're going to be much more honest as they move forward. So that everything that we're trying to create on the outside, that internal system that they start to change, it starts to express itself. It'll be just an effect of who they are inside. To me, that's some of the most, like, I'll be in tears a lot of times when I hear, like, when people make progress. And to me, that means the world, because I know how it feels like. I've gone through the whole pain of it. I've watched a lot of other people around me go through the pain of it. And to me, it's like, whether I got paid or not, I would do that.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I love how you like related it back to your own journey. You know, it's like you guys have both lived through it. And I think that's maybe why it's so powerful, is like, you're not making it up. You're not just reading out of a book or a script or something, right? It's like you're saying, here's the path. And then you can help people realize it for themselves. Like, it's really cool.